Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together!
Yeah, here we go!
The soft tinkling tootling music just made me just giggle so hard. I'm sorry. Asra sighs and stands slowly, lazily stretching out his back before padding barefoot over to Julian's desk.
I feel like I've read a fanfic with that particular phrase.
I guarantee I read a fanfic with that exact phrase.
Yes.
And the fact that they specified barefoot inside the castle is interesting to me.
Alright, I'm here. What's that?
He leans over the desk to stare at the illustration in Julian's book, brushing against Julian as he does, because I care about noticing when they touch each other.
It is because it's supposed to be a hint. So, if you don't know, spoilers for you, but Julian and Asra so this is either when they started their relationship, or this is after, or some point.
They've had some kind of involvement.
They have had the involvement, and actually, there's been a couple of very interesting, I kind of want to call them fetish bait ads for this game.
Oh, there have.
Yeah. Anyway.
Brushing against Julian as he does.
Oh, Here, just look at this diagram over there. What do you think? Will it work?
Move your whole self that way a little bit.
Yeah. If you wanted to show me your fantasies, you didn't have to hide behind pretense.
What?
What? No, that's not what it's a medical illustration!
Oh, God.
So, this blood ritual?
What?
Well, no, not exactly. It's transfusion, you see? You use this apparatus here.
Oh my God. Asra was literally like, oh, this is about blood play? Isn't that a little heavy? Needles and blood play are very high-level fetish activities that require safety and education.
And based on some of the arguments made for this game of going, hi, this was supposed to be thought of basically of the time of the Four Humors, you are asking for an infection.
Yeah.
Needle/blood play is, excuse me, we're a mature adult, but what the fuck?
I was gonna say, that is a hell of an insinuation. Now, if I step back just a tiny bit and go, it's supposed to be a joke because he's trying to fluster Julian. He's also being a jerk about it?
Yeah, kind of.
Like, he's really being the I'll be serious and deadpan and pretend like I don't know. And Julian, I am a mess right now. Asra, you're being kind of a jerk.
Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of not sure what their dynamic is supposed to be, and I kind of don't like it the more that I've seen it.
Alright.
Anyway, this apparatus here, of course, there's no telling where it will work, or how safe it is, or if it's even possible. Damn, no, that won't work. What about Boyle? Yeah, where are you going? There's more work to do, you know. You can't expect to cure the plague through napping.
And reading.
It's not all napping. Sometimes I daydream instead. Why are you such a shit? This actually isn't really funny to me. This is weird.
Why?
People are dying from the plague, and what you've got, unless it's like a stress response, it seems like to me Asra's being really incredibly
distant, cagey, dismissive.
Yes.
I was gonna say, and the thing is, okay, so if you're trying to do any kind of and forgive this, fantasy gay relationship trope, as seen in Teyaois occasionally.
Yeah. This fits right in there.
It falls in really, really hard with a boy love, anime that I've seen before, of one of them being sort of distant and aloof, and the other one being super flustered but unacknowledged kind of thing.
Right.
The thing is tonally, that's extremely dissonant to the weight of the story. One of them literally trying to find the plague for people who are dying, not like, I'm just trying to get my homework done.
Trying to find the cure, not the plague itself.
Sorry.
Trying to find the plague.
Trying to figure out how to cure the plague during, an epidemic.
Like I said, the thing is this is one of the things you go, this is fantasy. It's also incredibly performative for the reader, which is what it feels like. Because the thing is why else do you have this scene here? What does it serve narratively at all? Because the thing is these are all decisions and choices to show these particular scenes. You have to ask in the grander scheme of the story,
what's it for?
If
this is Chekhov's gun, what are we shooting?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Okay.
And the thing is I understand a lot of times in some stories there really is a lot of going, you just have basically your pinup material. Here's just your hot stuff because you deserve it, kind of thing. And that's what this is about. This is kind of weird, and like I said, it just feels really baity to me. We actually had this problem also when we played When the Night Comes, where it felt really kind of like you were being a creepy voyeur.
There was a couple of scenes where it was like, why is our character here? Our character's apparently only here to watch. And once they were actually there deliberately to watch and made a point of sort of giggling about it.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable.
It was.
And I don't like this sort of exploitation.
So what I'm going to say, for me, is that I can access cute, flirty, and, basically fictional relationship tropes for the sake of tension.
Yes.
I cannot access them when they are in dissonance with what has been told to be the important piece of the plot.
Yeah.
So, like, if we run to, yaoi tropes, it's like, I'm going to make it difficult for you to get your homework done because I'm going to interrupt you and you're going to go, ooh, woo, the boners have distracted me, kind of thing.
Right.
I was going to say, it's very, very different when it's people's lives are at stake and you're basically like, I could care less if the entire world dies because I don't want to talk to you. Let me brush your hair away from your face.
Like, okay, you're also gonna have to forgive me because, like, part of it is that I will admit that I think Asra cares a lot, which is why I find this to be so weird. Like, this is how Asra flirts? He's
Maybe?
a jerk?
Or again, is he flirting? And what I feel like the scene is just badly placed if they're going for this is supposed to be titillation to the reader.
Right?
Or
even if it's trying to tell you that, ooh, they were involved. Like, the thing is, like, you could literally just have Asra tell you himself that he at one point was involved with Julian, unless you're saying that, like in the other ones, he has no fucking memory like nobody else does.
But if it's supposed to be basically a mystery for the reader, something for us to figure out, saying we don't know, right? Then this would be one more layer of your MC going, that is my master. What is?
Hang the fuck on.
What?
Okay, so you bringing up a mystery thing of going like, oh my god, we have all these questions about Asra.
Yes.
Is this literally bringing up a, should I be jealous?
I was wondering about that myself, of going, should I be possessive or jealous of Asra?
Why are we doing that in this story?
I don't know, because that feels like unnecessary conflict and discomfort. Unnecessary drama!
Anyway, I daydream instead. I'm tired, Ilya. I need to go back to the shop before it gets dark. Besides, I don't want to get in your way. I'll walk you home then. But and interrupt your very important studies? I'll be fine on my own, really.
Also, I find it interesting to, again, if it is the apprentice, in this case Kohai, watching this scene, hadn't read it yet, oh dear.
Oh!
Well, let's ignore that for a second. I was going to say, then, are we having an emotional experience and basically focusing on details based on some other filtering? Or is noticing that how Asra is behaving and Julian is behaving more than the content of what they're talking about basically something your MC is supposed to care about more? Like, is the memory basically this is the tone of it and it's just washing over us? Or are we seeing it impartially and that's what we care about? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get your point. Yeah, if you keep slapping off like this, Asra, it won't be able to protect you.
Julian presses forward, grabbing Asra's wrist. Asra's shoulders tense at the sudden touch.
Okay, question. Why would you grab for the wrist?
Because that's an anime trope.
I was about to say, it's an anime romance trope, isn't it?
It
could also just be like...
You as they turn to go away, you grab their wrist or the edge of their clothing. I was going to say, other than that, I don't know. Because you would, there's a lot of, like, grabbing someone's shoulder or just touching them. If you're not being controlling, there's generally just a soft contact of the shoulder or arm.
Yeah.
Of like a head.
But I'm like, so the thing is
open-handed, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, that's weird. I would have gone more for like, maybe like sort of tapping on the shoulder more than I'm gonna grab you. Because grabbing is very controlling. And I gotta tell you, it's been fascinating over the years learning more basically about a lot of the tropes used in anime. So I actually learned this from somebody who has spent an extensive amount of time actually interacting with Japanese people overall.
Yes.
They actually are helping run a business in Japan, and or across the globe, actually.
With a Japanese owner/manager.
Yeah. And they spend a lot of time also discussing basically some of the tropes that Japanese anime likes to use. They actually apparently are incredibly fond of basically forced romance. So basically being driven into a situation where people grab you, force you, control you, going, you can't resist me, the Kabadon thing, etc. That is very
culturally popular.
I was going to say, it's very culturally their thing, which is why it's been interesting, because I didn't really know about that, because past the point, like, as an American, how I was raised, there's a lot of also, like, basically forced romance tropes that come over here as well, but it's so prevalent in anime, and there's also a very specific way that it's done, that this, as I say, I agree with my friend, it's very anime.
All right. Julian takes another step closer, taking both of Asra's hands in his own. A sigh from Julian's lips ruffles Asra's hair. Either it's really goddamn loud, or really, really huffy, or he is like really close to Asra. And if I'm going to take the time to notice that he's grabbing one wrist and then one hand and then taking both hands in his own, I think I would also maybe notice that he's putting his face next to Asra's hair to be able to huff into it.
Hang on, don't move. Okay, so stand like this.
Sigh.
And I'm gonna go. Like, okay, there's a little bit, like.
But like he doesn't have little tiny fluffies like single hairs like people do.
No, he doesn't. So I'm a little.
Also,
like, unless it's effective, say, like, so I'm up here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so look at me. So I'm going to floof your hair a little bit like
Hold
this.
on, we're doing
Julian
research.
has to be so much taller. Hold on, so we're going to go.
Research.
I guess you could kind of argue if you're going to say...
Is that ruffling or does it disturb your hair?
I think that's more like hair gets disturbed.
Ruffling is a pretty big movement.
Yeah, ruffle is also, like, ruffle's usually like an involved gesture. It's not a breathe.
I mean, the breeze
Anyway,
ruffles your hair.
I
It's
just
not
find
like
this-
a couple of strands are moving gently as you move.
And again, the thing is that I want to say, like, there's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with doing fan service. There really isn't. It's just, this is not the setup that works for me.
Again, like I said, this kind of scene can work for me in other contexts, but when it's in conflict with the urgency of the plot that's being exposited to me,
Right.
it doesn't work for me. Well, the problem we had all the time in Julian's route was that every time he wanted to do the sexy times romance scene premium stuff, after you got past like the first quarter of the game, it was
God.
always during an emergency. And Nerd, who was the MC, was like, what? But we need to deal with the thing exploding, burning down, dying.
Because also, like, at least in
Charging
that
towards
particular
us.
route, there was a high, like, level of contrast where you had this tone of urgency outside of those sections, and then when you were in them, there was just nothing, and it was really jarring to interact with. Anyway, so there...
Looking down at Julian swallows. Looking down at him.
The Count, what's his care? He'll die without it, and I'm worried he'll take you with him. I don't want you to die, Asra. Not if there's something we can do to stop it. Together? Good night, Lilia.
Damn. Asra pulls away with a note of finality. Does not really address anything that's been brought up or discussed, and I am familiar with this behavior. I've been careful greatly since my time of really, really admiring him and thinking he is lovely and good to realize that he gets overwhelmed easily and you must approach him softly or he will cut off the conversation due to stress.
That's also really uncontrolling.
Or it's
Oh, God.
just, it doesn't have
No,
to
but
be
the thing is,
controlling.
so, like, I'm not even going to interact with anything that you've said. I'm not even going to say, I'm coming back. I'm going to just, goodbye.
It's very dismissive.
Yes.
I was going to say, whether or not it's meant
But
to be
that's
controlling.
I mean, the thing is that's controlling the conversation. Stop it. You just walk away. Other person, hi, I have valid concerns.
I
Fuck
mean-
you, I'm going away now.
if he can grab him the first time, he can also follow after him.
I know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Eh.
And Asra pulls away with a note of finality and disappears out the door. The last words I hear before I'm pulled out of the memory are Julian's, muttered to himself.
Right. He won't listen to reason. I'll just have to make him listen.
Ties him down. Let me whisper in your ear.
I'm also like, okay, so if we're gonna make the argument that, so I'm guessing this actually might be around the time we're going, he may think that I like him when you know who my heart belongs to, right? So when
Right.
Asra went off at Faust, I'm kind of curious, actually. I'm like, what? Why won't Astra just tell him?
You're like, I like someone else? Yeah, that's a thing.
That seems really weird, because I have to say, I don't, as weirdly pushy as Julian can be, I really think he'd be like, oh, okay.
I don't,
Like, I
think
don't
it's-
think I'm like, this is such artificial drama. It doesn't work for me.
Again,
Anyway.
so like, there's this lovely thing that I've appreciated where it's like, communication saves 3 chapters of artificial drama.
Well, the thing is that I understand, like, sometimes how anxiety or stress or whatever else, but also, like, built on the fact that sometimes, like, Astra could be really good at also running away, but also I've seen Astra say really blunt shit before.
Strange question.
Well,
If Astra was vague, sort of like, I like somebody else, but then never follows up with it and never says anything more about it, Julian could be like, so there's still a chance?
I don't know. There's a way I always feel like you could say going, I have interest in someone else.
But going, would he say it like that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
What? Were they? What exactly was the nature of their relationship? Were they just friends? Or something more? It was just for that. I think it was just for that.
Was that really it?
I'm not...
They're really trying to make you jealous, or like, oh no!
Or going, I
Asra.
don't know who my mentor is. I don't know who the person I live with really is. He has secrets.
What I didn't really get that from the intro. Like, I understand.
But the thing is like,
they've been
do we even know from the intro that we actually live with him, or just that he was there and he's going on a trip?
I mean, the thing is so you have to include the beginning that they did.
So you do help him pack and stuff, so he does
Uh-huh.
seem to live there, yes, okay.
And also, again, like, they don't say, if I remember correctly, that it's your shop in the intro that they have. So
it always felt like we lived in his shop, like we nerds were.
And
really
we've
did.
also argued that, honestly, that is the only thing that makes sense to either of us, because it's like, based on other spoilers, you're not very old, so your ability to run a business and also collect supplies and whatever else, despite the fact that you've also apparently never left your shop.
Asra went home with no shoes on.
Nude feet.
I was going to say naked feet
That's it.
through the palace into
That
the courtyard across the
such
bridge.
an intimate trope.
It is.
It is. I love that actually. I remember at one point somebody was like, "Yeah, naked feet are basically a substitute for sex. It's your casual metaphor so that other people don't have to you don't have to have the sex, but the people who are in the know that we took off our feet,
We took off our
shoes. We took off our booties our little at our Victorian
Our
party.
slippers.
Oh, you were in a
You were all,
Whoa! Anyway,
or something more. Why do we care? Whispers fill my mind, telling me I could have the answer. I could see the relationship for myself. Not find out about the plague or the cure or why Asra was behaving the way he was or any of the other information exposited in that scene. Only what was their relationship.
is this about jealousy? Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't know. I'm really confused, especially given how early we are in this route. What we literally know very little about our attachment to Asra at all.
Yes.
Extremely little.
Other than apparently your MC is incredibly concerned with what secrets does Asra have.
I guess.
I
But also,
guess.
we don't seem interested in the plague at all, which is the only thing Julian seems interested in all of our exposure so far.
Yeah, so far.
I as
And like
an
I said,
individual,
Asra seems sort of like a jerk.
would care about that. Also, connecting it to the, we haven't had the masquerade since, I can remember kind of thing.
Okay.
All right. I just need to ask.
Oh, God.
I need to see it. See what?
See what the nature of
See
their
it's their
relationship.
relationship. That sounds very, intrusive?
Like I said, it also sounds very jealous. They're really trying to be like, this is the important bit. Especially if
That's
you're gonna...
weird.
That is really strange.
I need to see it or I don't need to know also suggests that you are unable to talk to Asra about it, and you know absolutely that Asra would never tell you. You would have to either figure it out covertly or not at all.
That also... Again, there's a level of going oh my God, I need to find out what previous relationships my potential love interest has ever been in. You know how invasive and weirdly controlling and possessive that is?
Like I said, that feels
Who
really
else
strange.
have you fucked?
Kind
What? I've
Or
heard some
dated or whatever.
shitty stories about people who are oh, so it was a joke, do you remember, in Chasing Amy, where she's going, oh my God, she sucked 6 men's dicks or whatever the fuck it was, or...
You mean in Clerks?
Clerks. Was it Clerks? I thought it was
Clerks.
Chasing Amy.
I've never seen Chasing Amy, but she's 31 cops. She's gone
Right.
down with 31 dudes, and she's like, what? He's like, but you said you'd only ever had sex with 2 people. She's like, yeah, I don't consider a blowjob sex.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was Chasing Amy. Anyway, I don't remember it out of Clerks, but that's okay. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but that's kind of what that reminds me of, that sort of weird entitlement you're supposed to have, going, I need to know exactly what you've done with these people. What was the... that makes me feel gross.
It makes me feel really weird. Also, it's not the I want to know or I want to find out. It's I need to see it. Specifically. There's not I want an answer, I want to know, I want to learn. It's I must see what was this. Which is odd. Also, it's strange to me, in my own mind. I have a concern for this being strange because it's with the other memories, we haven't gone, I want to learn more about that. And every one of them had a mystery presented, but we didn't go, I could find more by seeing, by pushing. The only setup I can connect to is I'm getting more familiar with this magic. So now, having been, immersed into the 3rd or 4th memory, whichever it is, I now know that I can push for more info. But Why that info?
Like I said, I think it's trying to push a mild jealousy angle, and that actually kind of upsets me.
Well, that's going to inform who I understand Kohai to be, because one of the plans was to buy every romantic scene for this this round. Like that was one of the hopes, to be like, okay, if I have a character that really is truly in love with the love interest, if I've designed an MC that is all in, head over heels, enthusiasm, committed, then we just buy every scene because they're all so romantic, you know?
Right?
And this doesn't feel romantic, and I am
Like
disappointed that the very first scene that I come to feels more intrusive than it does like warm or soft
and like I
or
said,
cute.
possessive, and that weird, very heteronormative basically thing. And not to say that gay culture doesn't do it too, because some people really get offended when they know your sexual history. Like, it's the thing about bisexual erasure or anything else. They go, oh my god, you've had other partners who are not of the gender that I am?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, I suppose for me, I'm a bit put off by it simply for that reason. But again, because if we've been setting up the mystery, and I've been complimenting this route on going, it's setting up a mystery better. Had I not had the other routes, had I had no other exposure to the game, there would be a lot of things to question and be curious and interested about. Things that you go, okay, it's setting up to have payoff in this plot. It's building you into something you're going to want to learn about, questions you're going to want to answer. And then it's saying the only thing your character cares about, or the thing they care about most, is none of those other things, only what was Astra's relationship like? And that feels like a really strong left turn of basically your MC not being interested in the things that I as a reader am finding as plot setup, and only being interested in, what was my basically my person's involvement with this other person.
Okay, so
in a specific way. What was the nature of their relationship? Not what were they doing together, not were they working together.
The only other reason I have any other potential for the kind of push towards doing the paid scene is because it is, quote, a romance mystery game. In regards to the romance genre, you usually are a little bit invasive.
So the mystery is about the romance, not about the story.
That is what I'm getting.
Interesting. Okay, because again, it reshapes...
I mean, we remember how, like, when we were playing the other ones, we'd be like, God, everything else basically comes to a screeching fucking halt.
When there's
the
an
romance
opportunity...
scenes, for the most part, are really awkwardly jammed in there. They don't feel very natural. They don't come about as a regard, like, usually because of the conversations you've been having, or you have any serious questions to really ask, they don't really matter in that way. Which is not to say that they don't, because obviously we haven't seen all of them. But over and over again, based on what I've seen for the writers who did this, and as far as I understand, so the two people who started this, you had the original artist and you had the original writer. They seem to have probably started with Asra first, and then they probably did Nadia, and then they probably did Julian.
Or potentially Julian.
Both of them at
Nadia.
the same time, yeah. But it was one of those things of, like, you can kind of see, I feel, where they would be like, oh god, we need to either have an option, or now it's time to have, because let's have some levity, let's have some, let's have some romance, because that's what people are here for.
Okay.
Even if it feels incongruous.
I was going to say, it does feel like, again, that the routes that I've played so far are really about hitting your romance sort of beats in a relationship.
And that's why I was going to bring up because you've read actually way more romance than I have. And even for me, I'm kind of like, yeah, we've just slipped back into the thing that actually pissed you and I off a lot, was going, hey, and now we're going to have nonsense, basically, romance, or something that feels really abrasive, or, like I said, controlling or manipulative.
So one of the things that I will say in good romance books, I say good by my own standard, not empirically, that I have read, ones that I've really enjoyed, is that either the romance is the plot, so it doesn't interrupt the plot because it is the plot. Yeah. And there isn't, like, other things are happening, but nothing else is important ever.
Yeah, it's all about the will they or won't they.
Yeah, I was just saying, you never move from a point of going, here's story happening, and now we're suddenly focused on the romance. It's the story is a vehicle for the romance only and nothing else. Yeah. Or the romance is completely stitched in, gently woven into the story as something that happens naturally because of the story itself. Yeah. And so you either get this sort of gentle braided experience of the romance happens along the way of the plot, or the plot is the romance and everything else is second to it. And in here it feels like, here's a plot, and you are walking through it to experience a romance, but every time it comes time for romance, you take a sharp left turn into a cubby,
Yeah.
have the romance experience, then walk back out into the plot and keep going. It feels like an episodic experience thing where, say, if you were walking through a maze and you came to a room with a theme, sort of, style of the Masquerade.
Right.
You walk in, you have the experience there, or like if it's a game, a carnival kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you play the duck shooting game, and then you walk out and you go back to doing and solving the maze.
It's very
completely separate.
liminal space.
Yeah, it's a very transitional space.
Yeah, which is that sort of, it's always in a state of moving, basically, and you're just kind of moving through it. It doesn't actually really have any set
It's not where you are.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know how to do this, friend. Do you want to pause for a minute, actually, and we can talk about this a little?
Give me half a second. Actually, we are almost out of time, and since these scenes take a good amount of time, and this caught both of us off guard, I would tend to say we're going to wrap up here, and next week we will have a full-ass scene with some beautiful cover art by a really cool artist that we know.
That's true. So I guess we'll do it, but
So the
you're
plan
gonna see
is
next time. Sorry for the cliffhanger, you guys, and the long discussion. We do appreciate, honestly, you hanging out with us. We also appreciate any feedback you guys have.
Yes.
I get really surprised sometimes for what happens. Like this just,
I was gonna say this threw me off really hard for basically the vibe that I had expected, where and for what the setup was, and I think I've covered that pretty well at this point. But yeah, that was very derailing. Where again, we're not going to investigate any of the story that's been put to us. Like there's like 10, basically just like openings for here's some potential story, a line to follow, a bait to chase.
well, and that's
this
the
is
thing
like
too.
what
Where
I
I'm like,
care about. It's not even what Asra was doing, what his priorities were, why he didn't want to be there. It's what's the nature of their relationship.
I'm also just like, you could have said the same thing about Muriel.
Uh-huh.
You could have said the same thing about probably a fair number of those
So
characters.
here's my question. If we'd have chosen the other book, does it have the same question?
Oh, I betcha, totally.
So do we wonder if he's involved with whoever the other book is?
Oh, God.
That would be fascinating. I need to know
Wait,
the
hang
nature
on.
of the other book relationship.
The other one, so you had
Was-
the guild. Oh, fuck, it would have been Lucio then. Because I think it's Lucio. I'm sorry. I'm just like the alluring one versus the gaudy.
Does that also mean, I need to ask then, is there a premium scene that we're not getting with learning about Lucio? Like, does this one actually have a dichotomy of one premium scene or another?
That's actually an interesting question. Anyway, sorry, we keep dragging this on because we are a little thrown off. So
I am very
we
curious
will see
suddenly.
you next week.
Yay!
So enjoy yourself. If you have any thoughts actually about how you encountered this scene,
Please.
that would be really cool. Please don't spoil the scene itself.
But if you want to
talk about your own rationale or your own thought process, or if you agree with us or whatever it is,
or your MC's experience, if this felt like completely in line with who they were so far or not.
Yes. Okay, so thank you very much, though, everybody, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, interact with the video, please. It actually does a lot for us in regards to YouTube algorithm. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi, Patreon, and our Twitch. There are links in the description, and we would love to see you there.
Yes.
And I've been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it was great playing with you. Bye!